My name's Ilana Cowland. I live in Jerusalem. I have the pleasure of teaching about relationships as often as I can. So it's really an honor to be speaking for this program, an honor to be speaking in Jenny's memory. We always think of Jenny and she's always smiling when we think of her, right? But Jenny wasn't always smiling. There were times of deep pensiveness and meaning and depth and sometimes even sadness in her life, and we would speak about those too. But everything was always said in that special, kind, genuine way. In our marriages, we're not always going to have positive conversations. I know it's about positive speech, but we're not. We're going to have to communicate things that are negative sometimes, and that's okay. In fact, it's critical, otherwise our relationships remain superficial. But I want you to imagine that you get an email from your boss one day, you're homesick, and the email says, "You weren't at work. What's the matter with you? Call me immediately." So you call the boss, assuming that you're going to get fired. And the boss says, "You're right, what's wrong?" And you say, "Wait, what? I thought you were going to fire me." And the boss says, "Fire you? What made you think that?" So you reread the email, and this time it says, "You weren't at work today. What's the matter with you? Call me immediately." The same thing can be said in a way that's negative. The same thing can be said in a way that's positive. Like a comedian, really. If you think about a comedian, the same joke can fall flat and the same joke can get a massive amount of laughter from the audience. What does it depend on? It depends on whether the comedian is focused on his audience. It depends on the timing. It depends on the delivery. When it's said right, it gets the right response. In our relationships, sometimes we have to tell our spouses that they've done something wrong and they've hurt us. But there's a difference between saying, "You're insensitive, you're thoughtless, you always hurt me," versus saying, "I really care about our relationship and I know that you never mean to hurt me, so I want to bring this up so we can do better next time." Sometimes a person doesn't pull their weight, and you can give a message that they're a good for nothing and that you do everything and that they're useless. Or you can let them know that you need more help and you're turning to them because you know that they care about you. We can say the same thing, we can say it positively or we can say it negatively. It really depends on whether we are focused on the love and respect that we feel for our partners that we're trying to build, and whether we're making sure that the message is imbued with that sense, with that spice. I had a student once we were discussing whether it's ever okay to shout at your spouse. Because people do, they're comfortable, they've been married a while, they shout. So I said to her, "Would you ever shout at me?" And she got very embarrassed. "Oh no, absolutely, I would never shout at you," which was nice. So I said to her, "Well, why not?" And she said, "Well, because I have too much respect for you." And I asked her, "Well, don't you want to have that level of respect for your spouse? Why would you introduce a behavior that is contradictory to how you want to feel about them?" When we think of our relationships, we're happier when things are going well. And sometimes we have to have difficult conversations. But there's never an excuse to use that to be horrible to someone, to be mean, to be negative. Think of what you want to say. Think of what you're trying to communicate. And think about how the person could hear it. Think if the roles would be reversed, how you relate best when people are telling you off for asking you for help or giving you a message that's perhaps harder to hear. Because I know that I've never been shouted at, belittled, or misunderstood and come out thinking, "Oh, I'm so empowered to change now." But I've had conversations in my life which I've grown from. But usually when I grow from them, it's because I can sense the love and respect in the tone of the relationship, in the intent of the person talking to me. We want our relationships to be great. Let's ask ourselves first, do I connect to the love? Do I connect to the respect? Think of who your audience is. Think of what you're trying to accomplish. And then deliver your message in the most effective, the most empowering, the most loving, respectful, and positive way.